The United States president is often referred to as the most powerful man in the world. But Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, says the current POTUS is actually the most dangerous man in the world. She's so troubled by Trump's abuse of his position, she says it's her patriotic duty to take him down. And to do that, she's written a brutal tell-all memoir. The book is the ultimate insider's account of a truly dysfunctional family. But it has added substance, because Dr. Mary Trump is also a clinical psychologist. Her analysis of how Uncle Don became Uncle Sam is not just a page-turner, it's a horror story.
Together, we will make America great again.
When Donald Trump was elected 4 years ago,
The man of the toupee.
it was clear from the beginning that he was a president like no other.
I am the chosen one. What I say is what I say.
You gotta see this guy. I don't know what I said.
I don't wear a toupee.
With his overblown self-confidence and aggression,
This administration is running like a fine-tuned machine.
the brash New York businessman promised to make America great again.
It is time to drain the swamp in Washington, D.C.
It was obvious Trump took pleasure from humiliating anyone who opposed him.
Lowlife. She's a lowlife.
Nothing was sacred.
She's the devil.
And no one was spared.
A war hero, 5.5 years as a POW, and you call him a dummy.
Who could forget his venomous attack on Vietnam War hero John McCain?
He's a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured, okay? I hate to tell you.
As shameless as he often is, it's probably only natural the most powerful job on earth has fueled Donald Trump's ego.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay?
But for the last few weeks, that ego has been dented. A critic who knows too much and wants to be heard has stepped out of the shadows.
There's no bottom to how bad this can get, how egregious his behavior can be.
Mary Trump, the president's only niece, is one of very few to know the real Donald Trump.
I have done a phenomenal job with it.
She says it's her duty to save the world from another 4 years of chaos. So she's spilling the secrets of Trump's dysfunctional family life.
I needed to tell the story of the family, the origin story, because there's so much at stake.
But Mary is not just the ultimate Trump insider. She also has a doctorate in clinical psychology, which gives her observations about her famous uncle a worrying medical context.
It's forcing the media to have a conversation that they've never wanted to have and never have had, which is about Donald's psychological health.
From this day forward, it's going to be only America first. America first.
Mary, the subtitle of your book is How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. Do you really mean that?
I do. And it's, if he weren't in the White House, then obviously that wouldn't be the case. He's dangerous because of the power that attaches to the office he holds. He's dangerous because he's so susceptible to powerful, smarter other people. It's very easy to get him to do your bidding. I think we've seen a lot of evidence of that. You need to just flatter him, and whether you're Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin, he'll stop the sanctions, or he'll look the other way when you start building more nuclear missiles. It's quite terrifying. In addition to that, we're talking about somebody who's quite unstable, and the more pressure he's under, because he's completely out of his depth here, the more pressure he's under, the more cornered he's going to feel, and the more he's going to lash out. And that's what we need to watch out for in the next few months.
The world's most dangerous man? You would put him ahead of Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, really?
Yeah, well, we're talking about a man who has control of the largest nuclear arsenal in the world. That makes him more dangerous than these other people because he has the nuclear codes.
Despite her damning analysis, Mary is actually sympathetic to her uncle. The daughter of Donald Trump's eldest brother, Freddie, says the Trump siblings were always destined to be dysfunctional. Trump and his brothers and sisters appear to have it all, wealth and a comfortable existence in New York. But the figure that loomed largest and darkest was their father, Fred, a successful real estate developer who valued winning beyond anything else. At the center of all the dysfunction, all the problems, appears to be your grandfather, the president's father, Fred. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, he is the origin. He's the ground zero of all of the family dysfunction, for sure. I say this very straightforwardly in the book, and I stand by it. I believe that he was a sociopath.
A sociopath? I mean, coming from a trained clinical psychologist, that's a big call. That's a harsh call, Mary.
He made it very easy, unfortunately. He had no real human feeling for anybody, including his children, and was quite adept at using people to his own ends. And if he found them not to be of use, he had no compunction about discarding them.
Was he a cruel man?
Yeah, yes, he enjoyed humiliating other weaker people a great deal.
Through that sociopathy, are you suggesting that he crippled his children emotionally, especially his son, the president?
Yes, of course. That would have a negative impact on anybody, any children. To make it worse, though, for Donald, when he was very young, 2.5 to 3.5 approximately, my grandmother, his mother, who was really his only source of human connection and comfort at that point, got very ill and was, to all intents and purposes, absent from his life. So he suddenly found himself so young, basically alone in the world, because my grandfather was incapable of filling the void left by my grandmother's absence.
You talk about your grandmother being absent emotionally.
Yeah.
Do you think that's had an effect on his ability to love?
Yeah, I think he, because of the very vulnerable age he was when she became sick, I think on some level he experienced it as a betrayal. She didn't have the capacity to heal the rift, even after she was able to. And I think that stuck with him. And perhaps the final betrayal was when he was sent to the military academy because he was behaving so horribly and nobody could control him. And my grandmother told me much later that she was relieved when he left.
As a result of that relationship, do you think he hates women?
I can't speak to whether he hates women, but what I can say, because I grew up with it, is that women were considered second-class citizens.
I have such respect for women. I cherish women.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
I have tremendous respect for women. Every woman lied. She's a world-class liar.
I love the women that fake when I speak.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy.
Does that explain all the wives and the girlfriends and the Playboy image and the Access Hollywood tape and all the rest?
Look this way, Lisa.
Yeah, I mean, it explains his casual cruelty to women and the ease with which he objectifies them. You know, he certainly doesn't seem to ever have had any real deep emotional connection with women, or well, I guess with anybody, quite honestly. But he objectifies women and uses them in a way he certainly doesn't do with men.
Kylie became the youngest ever billionaire for 2 reasons. 1, she jumped into the e-commerce industry, which is growing every single year. And 2, she used her social media following to grow her brand and generate millions in sales. So what does this mean for you? Does it mean you need to have 1 million Instagram followers to start a successful online business? Absolutely not. See, you can jump on this e-commerce trend today too, without selling your soul, becoming an influencer, or uploading daily booty pics on Instagram. You can use other people's social media followers to market your brand, generate thousands in sales every month, and finally become your own boss. So if you want me to show you the exact start and scale system that allowed me to use influencer marketing to start 4 multi-million-dollar brands from scratch and teach thousands of my students to do the same, click down here if you're on desktop or up here on mobile to get instant access. So maybe you're stuck at a 9-to-5 that you hate and you're seeing all these influencers or celebrities who are making millions just because they got lucky or have all these followers. And it really sucks. I was there too, really. But once I figured this whole e-commerce thing out, I realized it was 100% possible for anybody to start a successful store in a few weeks. Whether you're looking to add an extra few $1,000s to your monthly income stream on top of your job, or you're looking to build an amazing cash-generating business that lets you travel the world and work from anywhere with an internet connection, it's never been easier. And the best part? You don't need any experience to start it. Just like Jennifer. She started out working in a 9-to-5, and after going through this exact training, she came up with an idea for a yoga apparel brand and was able to generate $1,000 on her first night. You definitely don't need to be famous. Take Adam, for example. He was just a regular IT worker who had an idea for men's shower gel. And after going through the training and learning about my time hacks that let you launch your store quickly without spending hours every day, he was able to generate $1 million in revenue in just 7 months. And you definitely don't need to be rich to start. Take Justin, who was in high school when he started his brand. And after going through this training and using my influencer marketing strategies, he was able to use their social media following to make $270,000 in just 8 weeks. There's hundreds of other success stories just like these that I can show you. And you've just seen that if you want to start a successful online store, you don't need to be a celebrity. You don't need to spend thousands. You don't need experience. You don't even have to have an idea yet. But what you do need is a good product that people actually want to buy, and a step-by-step roadmap for using Instagram influencers to sell that product for you. And that's exactly why Founder Magazine has got me to teach this 5-step start and scale system for starting your own successful brand. In this free training, I'll show you how to come up with a trending product idea that people will want to buy, how to get it manufactured, and my influencer marketing secrets to grow that product so that you generate sales on day 1. So whether you're looking to add an extra $5,000 to $10,000 monthly income to your bank account, or you're looking to start the next multi-million-dollar brand, there are literally hundreds of product ideas waiting for you to launch, thousands of influencers ready to market them, and millions of customers ready to buy. In just a few weeks, you could have your own brand that belongs to you, and your very first sales coming in. To sign up for the free training, all you need to do is click here if you're on a computer, or tap up here if you're on a phone. Enter your email so that we can send you the bonuses and you're good to go. Oh, and one more thing. The way that YouTube works is you may never see this ad again, and I honestly don't want you to miss out on this training. So if you're ready to finally become your own boss and live life on your terms, click the link and let's get started.
But things could have been so much different for the Trump family. Mary's father, Freddie Jr., was the son destined to take over the family business. But when he refused, instead pursuing his own dreams of becoming a pilot, he earned the wrath of his father.
I'm very happy, and I think the city of New York is going to be very happy. We're going to do something now which is going to be a great stride forward for New York City.
That meant Donald became the face of the family business.
He is a chip off the old block. This is my father, Fred.
And he enthusiastically adopted his father's win-at-all-costs attitude.
8 years ago, I must say I was embarrassed to say I was in the real estate business in New York. Today, I can honestly say I'm proud of it, and it's the #1 city in the world.
my dad was incapable of being what my grandfather wanted and needed him to be. So that was a lesson that Donald took to heart. He understood on a deep level that to be like Freddie, my dad, to be kind, to admit to mistakes, to have interests outside of business and making money was essentially to be destroyed.
So to say that you're wrong or to show some sort of emotional empathy, that would be seen as a weakness in the Trump household. That was completely unforgivable.
Yes. Donald learned that you can never admit you're wrong. That was considered a weakness. And we've seen that starkly with the COVID-19 situation. He didn't do anything right away. And then when it was almost past time to do the right thing, that would have meant admitting that he hadn't done the right thing in the first place. So that wasn't going to happen. So the situation got worse and worse. And closely related to that was this idea of the power of positive thinking, which my grandfather really bought into.
Excellent, fantastic, unbelievable.
And essentially, he took it to such an extreme that it became a kind of toxic positivity.
What is it about Donald's insistence on describing everything on grandiose terms?
Right there, you're talking about tremendous power. Phenomenal, Bill. Phenomenal poll. Results are going to be fantastic.
Donald learned that in order to be not just protected from his father, but favored by his father, he needed to be this larger than life, great, fantastic. Part of it was the toxic positivity, and part of it was just, having to convince Fred Trump Sr. that Donald belonged on the planet and, should survive and should succeed. And he needed to make it clear to Fred that Donald could be of use to him.
Coming up,
Money is the only currency in the family.
Christmas at the Trumps.
Some of the presidents were quite hysterical.
You won't believe how stingy
3-pack of underwear for Christmas.
billionaires can be.
It was a bit beyond the pale.
That's next on 60 Minutes. Donald Trump's niece, Mary, has spent her entire life watching her famous uncle. You've exposed the whole Trump family in this book. And the common theme, the prime motivator, undoubtedly seems to be money. When it comes to the Trumps, it's all about money.
Money is the only currency in the family. I mean, it literally stands in for everything else. Love, affection, respect. It's understandable that, my family members would cling to it so desperately and want to acquire it.
Mary understood early on that in the Trump family, great wealth didn't equal great generosity, especially at Christmas. What struck me was the treatment toward each other in your family.
Yeah.
For instance, this strange habit your family had of giving second-hand presents at Christmas. What was that about?
Once my dad was out of the family business and was branded a failure, he and anybody connected to him, which would have been me, no longer mattered. So there was this level of thoughtlessness around us. So luckily, we were able to laugh about it because it's really not very funny, although some of the presidents were quite hysterical. I mean, to have your uncle and his wife, who were extraordinarily wealthy, give you a 3-pack of underwear for Christmas, it was a bit beyond the pale, shall we say.
Well, what about the brand name handbag they gave you with the used Kleenex tissue in it?
Yeah, that was actually to my mom. And she was even lower on the totem pole than I was. And one of the things that's also telling about that is that Donald didn't even recognize that they were presents that he had given me.
Mary can laugh off the regifting, but what she can never forgive is the Trump family's humiliation of her father, Freddie Jr. The elder brother was cast aside in favor of the younger Donald, who had the killer instinct.
Unless you're going to have a certain way, you're going to be eaten alive, especially in New York City, especially in the world of business.
At 42, Freddie was an alcoholic and had lost his home and marriage. He was living with his parents and slowly dying. When he was on his deathbed in hospital, why didn't any of the family, any of the Trumps, visit him?
By then, my grandfather was done with my father. He had, I think, given up on him. And I think just watching him deteriorate physically and emotionally just kind of made my grandfather angry, and he continued the humiliation. So when he got so sick, my grandfather just thought it was over. And, why did he need to be there? Why did he need to witness that? He'd witnessed enough. And, his children always took their cues from him.
But even without your grandfather going, I mean, he still had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. And yet none of them turned up at his deathbed. I find that incredible.
Yeah, to me, it's the most damning thing that we could say about them as people.
Is it true that on that night, despite knowing how gravely ill your father was, his own brother, that Donald chose to go and see a movie?
Yes. I think sitting in the house would have bored him. He didn't have the patience to be sitting by the phone. And again, because my grandparents weren't going anywhere, I don't think it even occurred to him to go to the hospital.
Her father's death left Mary exposed and vulnerable. But it would take 18 years before she realized how bad it was. In 1999, Trump patriarch Fred Sr. died, and Mary's inheritance was all but cut. She sued her Uncle Donald and his siblings, arguing they had coerced her grandfather to change his will. The case eventually settled under confidential terms. Today, Mary insists her memoir is not a payback, but an attempt to correct the record and counter the Trump spin. You say very clearly in your book that Donald and the rest of the family destroyed my father. I can't let him destroy my country. So is that what this expose is all about? Are you trying to avenge the memory of your father, the reputation of your father?
I wouldn't say avenge as much as I'd say rehabilitate, because when Donald has in the past spoken about my father, he's only referred to him as an alcoholic. He says that he was handsome, which he was, and that he was kind. But, again, in my family, saying somebody's kind is an insult. But he never speaks about my father's accomplishments. So it's more about just letting people know who my father really was. As for, destroying the country, that sounds really arrogant, and it was perhaps not the best turn of phrase, because clearly I cannot single-handedly do anything along those lines, but I do feel that I have to do whatever I can to make sure that people are informed and understand exactly what's going on with this man.
I'm very highly educated. I know words. I have the best words. But there's no better word than stupid, right? There is none.
I wanted to touch on one of the things that you say in the book. You make the allegation that Donald managed to arrange for somebody else to take his university entrance exams. I just wonder, I mean, if you're capable of that sort of cheating at an early age, what are you capable of today in the White House?
Exactly. I was actually a bit surprised at how surprised people were by the SAT story when, the book first came out, just as I was surprised at the reaction to, his use of racist and anti-Semitic language, because look what he does, it shouldn't surprise anybody that it started that long ago. Especially since my grandfather also believed that you do whatever you need to do to succeed. Cheat, lie, work with the mafia, whatever.
That's a serious claim that he got someone to sit exams for, and you're comfortable with that that's absolutely true.
I believe my source, who was there at the time. I stand by it 100%.
Mary's book is not the first time she's attempted to show her uncle's true colours. She admits she was the source for a 2018 report in the New York Times about the origins of Donald Trump's wealth.
Steve, you're going to have to start pushing these people now a little bit because it's getting a little ridiculous as far as I'm concerned.
It shattered the myth created by the president that he was a self-made man by proving his business ventures were really propped up by his father's money. You couch it in a fascinating way. You say, nobody has failed upward as consistently and spectacularly as him.
Yeah.
Failed upward. What do you mean by that?
This is a man who bankrupted casinos, which is a hard thing to do. And then was given a TV show in the early 2000s that portrayed him as this real estate mastermind. So, every failure along the way has been met with more money thrown at him by the banks, more glowing media coverage about what a brash, brilliant guy he is. It's taken a lot of people to help him fail upward.
Why are there so many people around enabling him to keep going if he is so useless?
Well, because he may be useless, but he's got a lot of power. They're willing to put up with or overlook or ignore entirely his behavior, his crassness, and his incompetence.
Your niece, Mary Trump, has written a book about you and your family, and one of her main...
Predictably, the president has come out swinging against his niece and her memoir.
She writes a book that's so stupid and so vicious, and it's a lie.
The president says this book is a lie.
Oh, yeah. I'm not entirely sure what else he would say. First of all, I highly doubt he read it. But what could he possibly say?
You expected that?
Yeah, yes, I did, because the smartest thing for him to do would have been to say nothing. But he can't help himself. And, there's no way he would admit to anything that's in the book, whatever of it he knows. And again, there's no way to know that.
It's disgraceful that she said that. She was not exactly a family favorite. We didn't have a lot of respect or like for her.
It's a very personal put down, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what he does. He goes right to the personal ad hominem attack, whatever is most expedient. I actually hadn't heard that, but it doesn't bother me.
An emboldened left will launch a full-scale assault on American life. You know that. I have done a phenomenal job with it. This November, we're going to defeat the radical socialist Democrats and are right down the street.
So ahead of the next election, your aim is what? To make people see the real Donald Trump?
It boils down really to a simple message. Donald isn't going to get better, and he's going to get worse. That should make people think long and hard about how they cast their next vote.
When you do testing to that extent, you're going to find more people, you're going to find more cases. So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
How much worse could it get?
I'm afraid we're going to find out.
Hopefully George is looking down right now and saying there's a great thing that's happening for our country. There's a great day for him. It's a great day for everybody.
I knew this simply because of my family knowledge and as a clinician. There is no bottom.
There is no bottom.
There's no bottom to the how bad this can get, how egregious his behavior can be.
Why do you say that? Because you think what? That he will do anything to win?
Yeah, I mean, we've already seen it, that he's capable of either acting badly or refusing to act in a way that would be appropriate to protecting the country and the people in this country. So I just think that as we go, and maybe the worse he's doing in the polls, or the more threatened he feels and the more stress he's under, there are going to be consequences to that, unfortunately. I don't know what they are, but I think we need to be prepared.
What happens if your uncle wins again in November?
I can't go there. I'm just trying to get through the next couple of months and be as positive and proactive as I can be. I just can't think past November 3rd.
Oh, say, can you see?
Do you forgive him for how he's turned out, or do you hold anger about the way he performs?
There's a big difference between having compassion and understanding for what somebody went through as a child. But that changes once you become an adult human being. Plenty of people have had horrible childhoods and grow up to have empathy for other people and to care about doing good in the world. Donald is not one of those people, and he needs to be held accountable.
Got something to say or sell? Constant Contact's powerful email marketing tools make it easy to stand out while you get the word out. Create email marketing campaigns like a pro, promote a sale, or launch a new product. And do it all from one place. Power On.
Hello, I'm Liam Bartlett. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.